to hit international agencies against the rogue country to isolate Pakistan globally. India is currently preparing 2 financial attacks in an attempt to curb cross-border terrorism, an aggressive stance against Pakistan at the Financial Action Task Force and pressure on the International Monetary Fund to block its aid to Pakistan. You would have noticed that while Pakistan is crying to other countries and some have even asked for de-escalation, none have objected to India putting the erstwhile sacrosanct Indus Water Treaty in abeyance. Even till a few years ago, this would have been thought to be impossible. But amidst the hell and fury over military action, India has managed to change the game. While the world and Pakistan focus on what military action India could take next, India is quietly building pressure on other fronts. While all countries have their own games to play, the US has backed India firmly in its fight. At several forums, the United States has come out openly endorsing India's stand and the right to defend itself. A panicked Pakistan is going to the US or the OIC seeking their intervention to de-escalate tensions between the two countries, but to no avail. And at home, leader after leader is forced to accept terror backing. In fact, let me first break down what Bilawal Bhutto, PPP chairman, has said and how even in this admission, there is obfuscation. He says, as far as what the defense minister had said when he had said, we are doing this dirty job for the US and the West for 30 years, I don't think that it is a secret that Pakistan has a past. But he adds that Pakistan has suffered because of it and Pakistan has learnt its lessons. We have gone through internal reforms to address this problem, he said, but never really utters the word that the problem is terrorism. He assures it is the past and not something Pakistan does today. It is true that this is an unfortunate part of our history, he further said. Listen in.
As far as what the defense minister said, I don't think that it's a secret that Pakistan has a past as far as extremist groups are concerned. And as a result of this, we have suffered. Pakistan has suffered. We've gone through wave after wave of extremism. We went through the Islamization and militarization of our society. But as a result of what we suffered, we also learned our lessons. We've gone through internal reforms in order to address this problem, not only for us, but also the concern of the international community. So as far as Pakistan's history is concerned, it is history. It is not something that we partake in today. It is true that it is an unfortunate part of our history. We're not alone in this history.
How convenient to say that it is history but no longer a part of our current tactics. Now, Pakistan has been asking for third-party probe, but United States has put paid on those hopes. First up, United States Secretary Marco Rubio has asked Pakistan to join investigation and not the other way around. Marco Rubio even asked Pakistan to condemn the Pahalgam terror attack first, not make excuses for it, and to cooperate with India. US has asked Pakistan to hunt down terrorists on its soil and engage with India to restore peace and stability. Here in India, of course, we feel that road has completely gone away. Accepting that terrorists operate on Pakistan's soil, the United States has asked Pakistan to take long-term resolution on cross-border terrorism. Now, several other top members of the Trump administration have affirmed their unwavering support for India, underlining that India's response to last week's Pahalgam attack should avoid the risk of broader regional conflict. US Vice President J.D. Vance, he was in India when this attack happened, hoped that Pakistan would work with India to track down the terrorists who carried out the attack. This is big. US Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, backing India's fight, has said US will support India as it hunts for those responsible for this attack. During his conversation with Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, US Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth just yesterday admitted that Pakistan has a history of supporting, training and funding terrorists. He added that India has the right to defend itself and the US absolutely supports it. In a fresh statement from the US State Department, Tammy Bruce reiterated that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has the full support of Donald Trump and his administration. But what's behind US's backing to India? Let's not forget, while in the past India and Pakistan were hyphenated, things have moved on from them, even for the US. Now, US is focused more on trade, economy, defense and technology and is looking at India for larger cooperation. India is part of its long-term vision. In fact, US wants to boost the bilateral trade to $500 billion by 2030. This is because US considers India an important partner in the region, possibly more than any other now. Now, India is going to focus its energies economically to starve and choke Pakistan. Focus will be to get Pakistan first up, blacklisted or grey listed as they say on the FATF. Now, Pakistan was first put on the grey list of the FATF in 2008, only to be removed in 2010, put again on the grey list in 2012. It stayed there for a few years again, remained till 2015. Then it was placed back in 2018, which was the last episode, and it was finally removed 3 years ago in 2022. Countries under grey list are considered safe haven for supporting terror funding and money laundering, and that is where Pakistan has been, and there's no reason why Pakistan shouldn't find itself back on that list, but India will have to make its case once again. Last time Pakistan was on the grey list, it had to act, even though most of the acts were shams, to be honest. Here in India, we know exactly what effort or what impact those actions have had. In 2019, for example, it sought time to curtail terror activities, and then in February 2020, sentenced Hafiz Saeed to 11 years in jail. But the chief of the Lashkar-e-Taiba is in a way a high-value protectee of the Pakistani state. He is being held in a densely populated area in Lahore, with former commandos from the Special Service Group and additional security personnel deployed to protect him. In 2021, Pakistan also sentenced Zakir Rahman Lakhvi to 15 years, but all reports indicate that the LET and other similar groups continue to operate with significant support and protection from Pakistan's military and the ISI. Finally, in 2023, Pakistan Parliament passed a bill to curb money laundering and terror financing, but we all know, as Asim Muni very clearly outlined, they continue to foment terror in Jammu and Kashmir. But Pakistan let off then. It's time to choke them again. This time, India planning a strategy from the IMF to FATF. What does India need to do? All that and more with our special guests coming up.
Pakistan, to the extent that they're responsible, cooperates with India to make sure that the terrorists, sometimes operating in their territory, are hunted down and dealt with.
Rajiv Dogra, former diplomat and consul general to Karachi, Lieutenant General Arun Sani, former general officer commanding in chief of the Indian Army, Lieutenant General Satish Dua, former GOC 15 Corps of the Indian Army, and Captain Alok Bansal, Director India Foundation, all joining us on the show. And I do thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Lieutenant General Satish Dua, I'm starting with you because you must have heard what Bilawal Bhutto said. He said this is the story of the past. Asif Khwaja said we did this dirty job for the US for 30 years, not anymore. How do you look at these statements coming in? Because, you've obviously dealt with all of these infiltrators coming in, trained by the Pakistani army and ISI establishment. What do you make of the efforts to whitewash or wash their hands off recent attacks?
I find it quite paradoxical. In fact, on one hand, they're trying to wash their hands off it. On the other hand, senior people like the defense minister has actually admitted to the fact that we've been doing this dirty job for the US, UK and the others. Today in the news we hear about Bilawal Bhutto's a very similar statement. I don't think they can wash their hands off this particular thing as well. I mean, I was just hearing your report. You brought out in great detail as to how they are not only financing, supporting, masterminding things with different terrorist organizations there. Under the FATF pressure, all they've done over the past 4 or 5 years, especially after Article 370 has been diluted, all they've done is actually have some front organizations for these for LET and Jaish-e-Mohammed with slightly better sounding names like the Resistance Front and the people, Kashmir Tigers or anti-fascist front. So the point I'm trying to make is, on one hand, we have senior leaders openly admitting on camera. This has happened in the last one week.
Yes.
And on the other, they were trying to wash their hands of this. It is very clearly, it is well known to the world that Pakistan is the epicenter of terrorism. I only wonder sometimes, I'll just end with this thought. I sometimes wonder, on one hand, the military army chief is trying to assert himself. This is 3-4 days before the Pahalgam incident.
Yes.
He's trying to assert himself, talking to the Pakistani diaspora, and sort of be the custodian, as if the military is the custodian of the Islamist ideology there, talking of two religions, etc. On the other hand, we have the politicians doing this. So we've been hearing some rumblings as if the Pakistan army chief is looking at they have to distract their public from whatever is happening on their western fronts in the internal situation, etc. But is he looking to consolidate his position, stage a coup or thing like that? And on the other hand, the politicians now have started talking to the contrary, openly admitting it. I think something is not quite right, and we will see it unfold.
No, even these newly minted or rather newly christened versions of the Lashkar-e-Taiba or the Jaish-e-Mohammed, one of their leaders was standing in parliament in Pakistan and saying, oh, we got the TRF's reference removed from the UN. So sometimes you do wonder why the world doesn't take notice of all of this.
Exactly. So perhaps you and I and everyone in India is watching this more keenly than others. For others, it is just one news amongst Israel, Gaza, or Russia, Ukraine, and things like that. But if that minister takes pride in taking out that in the UNSC, in the resolution, just because they remember they've taken out that name, that itself is a backhanded admission.
Yes, it's a giveaway. It's absolutely a smoking gun, isn't it? Lieutenant General Arun Sani, absolute smoking gun in front of everybody. Sir, I think you are on mute.
I said good evening. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Just put that on. No, I think what General Satish Dua said doesn't need any further explanation. But may I just state that undoubtedly with the current inputs that we have of the infrastructure that is there across the board, whether those 42 launch pads, the training camps, admission through various means and other intelligence, that the action still remains very much in place. Their current actions which they tend to take against some of the rebels who have sort of gone against their directions is indicative of the fact that whatever they're saying is a double speak. I mean, there is no question of them having kept it in the past. It's actually something which continues to remain the main, I would say, the anchor for the military to look at operations against India. And that's how you've still got the proxy war going on, and looking at a larger and increasing the radius of action of these kind of attacks right across the Indian hinterland.
Yes.
So I don't think we really need to take anything at face value. Just carry on with what we have done. We need to give them that once they've crossed this red line against India, and it's also crossed the red line of patience, I think we require to give a befitting response. The non-kinetics have happened, the kinetics will happen, and they'll happen where we can hit them at the place in choosing of timing and the choice of place to hit them, whether it's at single or multiple places, is already there. And I think the Prime Minister has very categorically placed it on record that he's with the army, he's given the armed forces the free hand to do it, which exercises that he has full faith. And he's also looked at it that in case there is a kinetic response which happens to be physical in nature, that means they attack across the borders, then India is prepared to go the whole hog and fight that it's a limited or a full offensive against them.
You know, I also want to turn my attention to how the international community support can be garnered further. I know that Pakistan is more isolated today than it used to be. It already has its internal problems, but India wants to choke it economically first. It wants to kind of, wipe off any options for it to wriggle out of this current scenario that they're finding themselves in, whether it is, freedom movements in Balochistan or economically, the holes that they've dug themselves in. But Rajiv Dogra, I do want to ask you, India is formulating a plan to go to the IMF. It's formulating a plan to go to the FATF, which should be its natural course of actions. What is it that India will really need to do and impress on the international community to make sure that both Pakistan goes back on the grey list and the IMF doesn't dole out the kind of billions of dollars that it has been doing to Pakistan?
Well, Shivani, the fact is that world is a very hard place, and things do not always pan out as we desire. We have to recognize these two bitter facts.
Sure.
FATF is not going to come around tomorrow. It's a long process, and please remember there's China there as a member. There is also Turkey as a member, and both these would be hard to please. They would be more inclined to support Pakistan to the hilt. So it's going to be a long climb and a hard climb. Should we then put our hopes on FATF, or should we find some other means of putting financial pressure, which you have outlined, on Pakistan? IMF, World Bank, yes, but IMF, World Bank are not going to listen to us in the sense that they would not change their ways or decisions on the basis of India's request. They have to be tackled indirectly, and that is through USA. So if USA is convinced that Pakistan is incorrigible in terms of terror, then there is hope.
So what do you make of the US's statements then? I read out some of those statements at the start of the show. How do you look at the way the US is responding, the Trump administration is responding?
Shivani, may I complete?
Yes, sure.
Interrupt. Now, US is playing in a measured way. US does not want to break out in the world, and that is the extent of their message. US has been supporting India. It is fully supportive of India in various statements, starting from Mr. Vance's statement when he was here, to Mr. Rubio's statement, to President Trump's occasional statement, where also he said that terrorism must be confronted. But no statement from America talks in terms of a war breaking out. No statement from America talks in terms of financial sanctions being applied on Pakistan, which is what America would do in case it was hurt. That is the first step it would take. Second, let me also give another dimension, if you don't interrupt, to what the Defense Minister of Pakistan has said and what Bilawal Bhutto has said, I suppose, this morning. It's very interesting, the choice of words, starting with Defense Minister. He said, yes, we had a past, but he forgot to add that that past is Pakistan's present and could very well be its future. The second thing that Defense Minister said is that we've learnt our lessons. They have not learnt their lessons. They are building on the lessons learnt. That's the big difference, which we should keep in mind. The third thing, and which I don't know why we are not focused on, is a message to America that, look, for the last 30 years, Pakistan, of course, has been the terror factory of the world for a long time, but for the last 30 years, you were our joint venture partner. You were our equity partner in this joint venture, which we first started on our own, but then you said, let's do something in Afghanistan. What he also implied was that don't forget that Hurriyat in Kashmir was also a joint venture participated in by Robin Raphael of the US Foreign Service when she was posted here in Delhi. So there are a lot of messages going on, and I think we would do well to keep in mind that Pakistan is very good at twisting facts and in bringing sympathy to its side. That is why it started by saying that, look, where is the evidence?
Yes.
That's an old story which Pakistan keeps on repeating to distract us. So it's not going to be an easy haul.
Yeah. Now, speaking of that evidence, Alok Bansal, I want to come to you, because let's face it, we may not like this situation because we know Pakistan all too well. But if we were to go back to international bodies and say, see, this is the problem that keeps repeating and Pakistan is not learning its lessons, unlike what their leaders may claim, we will have to present something fresh. We will have to present something fresh on Pahalgam. That's the reality, whether we like it or not. So it is incumbent on India to build that case, even if Pakistan, by asking for those neutral investigations or bipartisan investigations, is not going to do anything. We know that history too. We'll have to present something to the world.
See, there is no doubt that we'll have to present some credible evidence. We have released certain photographs where we have shown that certain serving army personnel were involved of the terrorists who were actually involved in the incident. Ideally, we would need to apprehend some of them actually, which are actually believed to be still in Indian territory. We could actually apprehend some of them if we can do that. If we can present some communication with their Pakistani handlers or something like that. And these are the factors why Pakistan is repeatedly harping on neutral investigations, because it believes that at this point of time, we don't have any significant evidence as far as this particular attack is concerned. Of course, there is a very good prima facie case because Pakistan has always been doing it. This particular incident could not have happened because no local Kashmiri would have liked to do this, because Kashmiris have always avoided targeting to tourists. So obviously this was done at the behest of a foreign power with no interest of the local population in their heart. So obviously we Indians know it, that it has been done by Pakistan, it has been sponsored. But I think as far as international community is concerned, we will have to present a far more credible evidence, and I'm sure the security agencies would be having it, or there may be a possibility that they don't want to reveal it at this point of time, because sometimes our sources might get compromised. Like you remember once when in Beijing during Kargil, we released the discussion between Musharraf and his general, I think DGMO or somebody, which was actually broken, and that actually snapped that link which we had. So probably the agencies or the establishment does not want to release that at this point of time. Probably if there is to the international community, they would be presenting it. But yes, ideally, if you want international community to act, if you want FATF to act, if you want IMF and World Bank to act, we may have to bring out some more evidence to show it to the world community.
Yes, and get, as Rajiv Dogra was mentioning, primarily get the US along with us, on our side, to ensure that some of these bodies act. I want to go back across to Satish Dua as well. You want to weigh in on this? What kind of evidence can the army really collect and will be able to present, for example, from what you know and have, read about this attack, sir?
So I think NIA is actually collecting a lot of evidence. In fact, one of the news reports said that 15 people that amongst the people they've spoken to, 15 people have brought out the issue that Hashim Musa, who's a ex-SSG officer, a Special Forces officer of Pakistan, is on loan, as the news report said, or is on loan to the terrorist organization. So the operation also reeks of very military precision. They actually carried out the operation for 20 minutes. They knew the reactions will come at that time and go away. So that is the kind of evidence that NIA is now collecting. Like Alok very rightly said, it will be presented. The evidence that it will be presented only when the time is right. We cannot sort of do it too early till we have proper evidence, and evidence we will be able to collect. Like my earlier two co-panelists brought out very rightly, saying that we need to present evidence to as far as the world bodies are concerned. But otherwise, for more than one reasons, we all realize why it could not be local terrorists, except for one or two boys would have joined them for local knowledge. But otherwise, they would never want to hit tourists
in Kashmir.
Tourists. And last sentence, allow me this last sentence. I was reading somewhere a very nice sentence, said that what successive governments have not been able to do, these 26 tourists have done in their death. They've actually united Kashmir against terrorism. The voices are coming out of Kashmir, cutting across all divides and talking against terrorism being terrorist violence being perpetrated in Kashmir.
No, that's true. Some of us have been left surprised at some of the voices that have come in from Kashmir politically and otherwise from the civil society as well. But we hope that that is for the better and it's not really just something that lasts only as long as the heat on this attack is there. Lieutenant General Arun Sani, I want to come to you on the threats we are also facing from Pakistan. But before that, I also want to play out two other statements of Bilawal Bhutto. The threats that he's repeating, he's not the only one in Pakistan to do so, but listen in on how on the Indus Water Treaty they're trying to threaten India with bloodshed.
भारत को कहना चाहूंगा कि सिंधु हमारा है और सिंधु हमारा रहेगा, या इस दरिया से हमारा पानी बहेगा या उनका खून बहेगा। मगर वो सिंधु पे हमला करे तो उनको मालूम है कि या इस सिंधु से पानी बहेगा या खून बहेगा।
Yes, Lieutenant General Arun Sani, how do you see these threats that are coming from Pakistan?
I think we shouldn't get too worried about the rhetoric that comes out. I mean, these are politicians playing for the domestic galleries. And I think this sense of bravado basically points to the fact that there is an underlying fear of a very, very serious retribution from India. So, I mean, that's how I would look at it. Coming on to the point about giving us facts and figures and proving to the world, let me just put it. If it was 10 years back and India was where it was and not really in the economic and the stage of development today and the status that it enjoys in the Committee of Nations, people wouldn't have even bothered to let us say what we are saying today.
Sure.
So I don't think we should worry too much about looking at it. Yes, for the FATF, for the other bodies to take action, there will be. I mean, there would be, I would say, fired cases where you might have markings of Pak Army. You might have equipment and footprints and things that would have been left wherever these people are staying and left out. So I don't think that should be a problem. I think General Satish Dua correctly stated. I mean, there'd be enough reasons where we would be able to find enough evidence to point back at those people. And if we have something in SIGINT and in other areas of communication intelligence, I'm sure that would be shared at the appropriate level with due sense of secrecy and security. But what I would like to state, please remember, at the end of the day, you have to take action. The world has done one good thing. None of them has discounted and said that India should not look at an option of giving a befitting reply. Yes. And that is what is important. Yeah. So as India's status grows, the world will be with you. So I don't think we should worry too much on that. The other actions, I think the Indus Water Treaty itself has been the best way to hit the Punjabi Mussalman. You are hitting the deep state. All these generals, all these politicians, their land is there. If it's going to be lying fallow and the people who work on that do not get it, it's going to hit them where it bites most. So I don't think we should get too worried. Yes, it should be done. Let's just get the act together, achieve our strategic surprise, and keep giving sustained reply and a bloody nose to all these people who are behind this act of terror.
Can I ask you very quickly, and I'll ask Satish Dua also this, are you worried at all that we haven't actually managed to catch those perpetrators yet?
Of course not. I think the life of a terrorist is not more than a year and a half. It's a matter of time. He might get ensnared out from one place, but he's bound to fall into a trap in the next one. And I have no doubt, I don't think I like to put timelines on when we should be able to catch them, but I have no doubt about it that all these four perpetrators, if they are the four identified, and if not more, will actually meet their end and look at that who's which they want to see in heaven. They'll, I'm sure, be shown the right way, and people within the uniform will make sure that it happens. So I don't think we should get too overtly worried about that.
No, but Lieutenant General Satish Dua, the reason I ask this is because if we were to catch them, I'm not sure if there's any possibility of catching one alive, but if we were to catch them, neutralize them, we could actually get our hands on more proof. That's why I ask.
No, you're right. We would get more hands-on on the proof, and we would have a living proof to support our claims. But the fact of the matter is, these terrorists are trained to fight till death. It's very, very rare to catch a terrorist alive. But having said that, a dead terrorist would also, sorry for using morbid sentences, but a dead terrorist would also be proof enough. Because then there is the DNA print, everything that can come out, maybe some identification on him and things like that, which would point to the fact of his identity. So as far as identity is concerned, we would be able to get it even then. As far as getting them is concerned, you see the kind of operations that have been launched. Like General Sani said, it's a matter of time. Every terrorist has a shelf life, and we shouldn't be too unduly concerned. We should not put undue pressure on security forces. They're doing a fine
No,
job.
absolutely.
I've been there in the field, and I think we should let them do what they have to do.
Absolutely. I agree with you, and certainly not an attempt to put any pressure. But Rajiv Dogra, I come back to you. On the Indus Water Treaty, would you agree that actually what India has managed on the Indus Water Treaty itself is unprecedented? Because no country has even brought it up.
You see, that should not be consolation. In fact, I have written extensively about Indus Water Treaty in my book, Where Borders Bleed. And I have given chapter and verse as to how India was pressurized by America and the World Bank to agree to terms which were unimaginable anywhere in the world. And I am choosing my words very carefully on the basis of solid research. Otherwise, which country, at the time when we were forced to sign, again I'm choosing my word forced very carefully, when we were forced to sign this, America was entering into a similar treaty with Mexico where it gave zilch, nothing of its waters to Mexico. So that is how one-sided it was, because we were economically in a very delicate stage at that time. So what we are doing today, we should have done long back. But what we need to do now is to build at least one canal so that we can divert some of the waters. Because building dams is going to take a long time, and we've gained nothing by run-of-the-river dams, which have been virtually non-existent because of the silting which has gone on for years. So it is good that we put Indus Water Treaty in abeyance. I wish we had altogether discarded it, but at least build one small canal. China can build their canals in 3 months or 2 months. Why can't we build one small canal so that Haryana and Punjab don't fight over waters, so that Delhi people who look at Yamuna don't find it a drain flowing through the capital city. We need water, which we have very generously and, may I add, foolishly been giving to Pakistan, so that its people could drink water to their heart's content. Its people can waste water on water-intensive agricultural crops like cotton or rice. We need that water ourselves, and the quicker we do it, it will be good for us.
Yes, absolutely. Alok Bansal, final word to you as well. Even as we talk about all of the economic, diplomatic, international pressure tactics from India, everybody is, of course, keeping one eye open for what India could do militarily. You've heard all the political leaders, you've seen all the meetings that are going on, and the free hand that has been given to the forces. Is there some sort of a risk in delaying that action? Sir, your mic.
Firstly, you can't make a country's military strategy sitting in TV studios. That fact must be understood. We have competent leadership both at the national level as well as the military level to take a decision. Secondly, the threat of war is far more debilitating for Pakistan than the war itself. So please understand, as long as Pakistan is under a threat that there could be a war anytime, that is far more debilitating for Pakistan than the actual war itself. So I think that is, to my mind, the right thing. Indus Water Treaty by itself has done a big harm. I don't think so you can construct a canal so fast, because please understand, even under the Indus Water Treaty, we have consumptive usage of water in the western rivers, which we have not consumed till date fully. Because the terrain does not permit actually digressing of water from Jammu and Kashmir to the other parts. But what we can easily do is that we can stop sharing data and thereafter alternately flood and starve them of water. And that can be easily done because we have limited pondage in virtually every run of the river project, and which we can do. And Pakistan is already scared about it. People have already said that the sowing season is coming and they'll have a major problem if India does not share the water details and alternately floods them and stops the water.
Yes.
So we have numerous actions which we can take up as far as trade is concerned, as far as various issues are concerned. FATF may be a difficult process, but it may be easier to deal with IMF and World Bank through the US and the Western world, which has enormous say as far as these institutions are concerned.
Okay.
So if at all we have to debilitate Pakistan, there are numerous ways, but we need to keep the threat of war hanging over their head.
Yes, that is also helping us actually in some ways, as several experts have pointed out. Yes, Lieutenant General Dua, you wanted to come in.
I just want to come in because your question was particularly about, what is the military response? Is it too delayed? You see, diplomatic, political or economic responses are first announced, then applied. Military response will actually be implemented first and then be announced later. And the last sentence I want to say, while our response will have to be, like everyone has said, will have to be it's not a question of delay, it's a question of time and place of its choosing. But this time round, our response, it is not 2016 when we had the shallow Uri surgical strike or 2019 when we had a deep airstrike. This time, there are many enablers in play. And our response is bound to be multidimensional. We have drones, artificial intelligence, space, cyber, so many different domains converge in addition to the kinetic responses that we always do. So I'm sure it will happen at the time and place of own choosing. And the last sentence I want to say is that both in 2016 and 2019, our response was swift, but it was announced afterward. But today, it's a very different setting because the Prime Minister has announced. We have already announced. Pakistan is already running helter-skelter for cover. So it's a very different kind of a response because the setting is very different.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Things have changed quite a bit since the last time around. I do thank all of our guests for joining us, and we'll look forward to having you on the show again. Let's also listen in to my colleague Siddhant. He's breaking down some of the strategies that India is formulating as far as putting economic pressure on Pakistan is concerned.
India has successfully managed to build global narrative against Pakistan. Now it's time for India to encash the support that countries have shown towards India by throttling Pakistan's economic funding. India is in touch with all UNSC non-permanent members for this support to India in next UNSC meeting, and Pahalgam issue will also be raised in European Affairs Council next week. India is mulling over various options to throttle Pakistan's terror funding. The two most obvious and specific moves could be: number one, to make efforts to bring Pakistan back to the grey list of FATF, the global money laundering and terror financing watchdog. Pakistan was last put in this list in 2018 but got removed in 2022. This will have direct impact on FDI and capital inflows to Pakistan. The second is to raise objection on IMF funding, citing reasons that funds are being used for terror activities. IMF has continued financing of $7 billion aid to Pakistan.
Moving on to the other big story we are tracking, the murder of Suhas Shetty has put Mangaluru on high alert. Suhas Shetty is a former Bajrang Dal member and a key suspect in the 2022 Fazil murder case. He was hacked to death by unidentified assailants on the night of May 1. The attack occurred while Shetty was travelling with 5 associates. Their vehicle was intercepted near Kinni-Padavu cross by a group of attackers in a swift car and a pickup truck. The brutal assault was captured on CCTV, showing Shetty being attacked with deadly weapons. Following this murder, prohibitory orders have been enforced in Mangaluru to prevent potential unrest. The police have launched a massive manhunt to apprehend the culprits. Karnataka police probing a revenge angle. Let's decode what this murky murder web is. Suhas Shetty, as I said, is a rowdy sheeter, a Hindu activist who's the prime accused in 2022 Mohammad Faisal lynching case. 23-year-old Fazil was hacked to death in Surathkal. His murder was widely seen as revenge murder against Nitaru's murder, and police had to find in their investigation that there were links to Popular Front of India operatives. BJP Yuva Morcha leader Praveen Nitaru, remember, was murdered in July 2022. So with these web of murders coming back into the spotlight and another brutal murder taking place on the streets of Mangaluru, is the communal rot that this town has become very infamous for, going out of hand. That with our guests coming up.
निर्दल कार्यकर्ता सुहास शेट्टी की जिस तरह से निर्मम तरीके से सरेराह हत्या की गई, उसने एक बार पुनः कांग्रेस की जिहादी तुष्टीकरण की पोल खोल दी है। इसके अपराधियों को, उनके षड्यंत्रकारियों को गिरफ्तार करके कठोरतम सजा सुनिश्चित करनी चाहिए।
This is a land of failure of Karnataka state. Nobody cares. When Siddaramaiah will come, Hindu Karyakarta will. Last time 36 Hindu Karyakarta killed by the PFI.
ಬಿಜೆಪಿಯವರು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಇಂಥ ಇನ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ಗಳನ್ನೇ ಹುಡುಕ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ರಾಜಕೀಯ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ.
Let's go across to our guest joining us. Narendra Rangappa is from the BJP, Satabhish Sivana from the Karnataka Congress, Sriraj Nair is spokesperson of the VHP. They've called for bunds and of course have charged at the local government. Syed Abbas is political analyst, comes from the state of Karnataka. I want to begin with Sriraj Nair because VHP, Bajrang Dal, you've been on the street or you've called bunds. You're charging at the government saying, oh, Hindus are in danger. But it's not like this man who has been murdered, as problematic as it is, wasn't himself accused of another murder.
Well, if he was accused of another murder or any, for that matter, for any other criminal activity, what was the government doing? This is absolutely sheer lie. Hindus are absolutely not safe in Karnataka because of the appeasement politics of Siddaramaiah government. Now, this is a sheer, cold-blooded, well-planned murder. And look at the situation. The women were shielding the culprits. So this definitely was his balidan. His balidan is not going to go in vain. We are definitely going to avenge. This government, this definitely means, yes, for 1,000 years the Hindus have been facing the brutality of jihadi Islam. And as our General Secretary said, जिहादियों की कबर हमारे इस हिंदुस्तान में खुदेगी. We are not going to leave. Whether the government leaves this kind of jihadi extremist or not, but Bajrang Dal VHP is going to avenge this cold-blooded murder.
Can I just come in? One second.
This is absolutely sheer lie.
Sriraj Nair, you're charging at everybody else. You're forgetting. One second, Mr. Nair, I don't want to speak over you. It is problematic that somebody has been hacked to death in the middle of a street. Nobody is denying that. Whether he is a history sheeter, whether he has a murder charge, of course that's problematic and that's for the government to think, and I'll ask that question to the Congress party. But Suhas Shetty was involved in Muhammad Faisal's lynching. So you can't claim that this is one-sided violence. Mr. Nair, I am saying you can't claim this is one-sided violence. In Mangaluru, it hasn't been one-sided violence for decades. You have to accept that this is not one-sided, this is coming from both sides.
Now you are accusing him of a murder. Why was he roaming free? Why the Siddaramaiah government didn't arrest him? This is all a cooked story, absolutely fake story. The Hindus are not safe because of the appeasement politics of the Siddaramaiah government. This kind of killings and the terrorists are being breeded there. They are being given shelter. They are not being arrested. They are absolutely kept loosened.
Okay.
This is the government's failure.
Government's failure? Satabhish Sivana, please come in. Government's failure.
See, firstly, my prayers are with the family of Suhas Shetty. His death is painful. But what is even more painful is the growing trend of young people being consumed by communal hatred and extremist violence. It is not about which religion they belong to. There is a deeper problem. Extremism in any form by any side must be condemned, uprooted, and must be dealt with strictly under the law. Now, prima facie, this appears to be a retaliatory attack. Suhas Shetty was the prime accused in the Faisal case, as you've been mentioning on your show, and along with other criminal antecedents. Now, he has been hacked to death. Now, I'm not surprised at the BJP's opportunist jump to, play politics over a dead body. That's what they've been doing over the past 10 years in Karnataka. But ultimately, who dies? Who suffers? It is the youth and their grieving families. While the politicians may play politics and move on, it is the names like Ashraf Kalai, Sharad Madiwala, Bashir, Deepak Rao, Masood, Praveen Netaru, Fazil, and now Suhas Shetty that remind us of the real cost. Now, these are not just names. They are shattered futures and broken families. the cycle of bloodshed in coastal Karnataka must end. And who is
so
responsible
what is
for
the
all
government
this?
doing
All
about
of us,
it? Who's supposed to end this?
Let me just finish. Who is responsible? All of us must collectively hang our heads in shame.
This is very convenient. We'll collectively hang our heads in shame. All very well as society, but you're the government, you're law and order. You're supposed to do this. The charge is that Islamists motivated gangs and people, they run riot during Congress governments. The charge is that you were lenient on PFI. Can you deny that? It happened under your governments.
No, see, right from 1968, right to 2008 communal rights in coastal Karnataka, all of us, irrespective of party affiliation, may it be the BJP, JDS or the Congress, the Karnataka electorate has given equal opportunity to every major political party to govern the state. And yet, all of us have not succeeded in decisively addressing the issue. Insofar as this government is concerned, Section 144 has been imposed. The ADGP law and order has been deployed to personally and primarily focus and look after the issue. All the perpetrators of this crime will be brought to justice and will be brought to books. That is our guarantee. But for people, extremists on either side to, accuse or strengthen the communal violence is incorrect. I make an appeal to all the youngsters through your viewership, through your channel. Please don't indulge in communal hatred. Please educate yourselves. Let's
Mr.
break
Rangappa
this
wants to
cycle
come
of
in.
retaliatory attack.
Madam, the Congress government successively have turned a blind eye towards gundas and gundaisms in this state. That has encouraged them to attack police station in DJ, attack police station in KJ, burn the police station in Hubli, riot the station in Mysore. Then murders have been always on the increase only of the Hindu rowdy shitters. So, there is an abject failure of the government in Karnataka. This has led to the pensioners' paradise. What was called Bangalore has been transformed into a Gunda Rajism. Or pensioners' paradise has become a criminal paradise, land grabbers' paradise. Cyber crime is always on the increase. Love jihad is happening. Neha murder is still at large. Murderers are not punished. They're formed a special court. So nothing is being done by this government. Then there is a Swati who was a staff nurse who was butchered into pieces and thrown along the river. Nothing has happened. So even an IPS officer is accused of smuggling 585 kgs of gold. Nothing has been done. People are sleeping. So and moreover, the morale of the police in Karnataka is at an all-time low. I will give you a standard local latest example that has happened in Belgaum the other day. The Chief Minister threatened to slap a superintendent of police in the public in uniform. This is the type of moral support you are giving to the police. And you have taken away all the cases against these people who are accused in rioting. Is this the encouragement that you are going to the law and order maintaining instruments of Karnataka?
No,
what are you saying?
Mr. Sivana, please respond to that, because there is exactly this history that I was talking about. Syed, I'll come to you in just a bit. Mr. Sivana, please respond to this. You've taken away cases of those who have rioted in the state, of those who had connections with PFI. At that time, it was fashionable to say, oh, let the government ban PFI if they are so problematic. But why did you love PFI so much? And who are you to now say, oh, look at how crime has boiled over in Mangaluru? You didn't realize that when you were supporting PFI type elements in Karnataka?
No, let's not communalize this issue. As I earlier stated, extremists are on either side. Either side. Okay, sir, let me answer. Let me ask you a specific question. Sharad Madiwala died in 2018, 2019, where Mr. R. Ashok, the president, leader of opposition, was the home minister. When Mr. Praveen Nettaru died, you were in power. When Deepak Rao died, the BJP was in power. Now we can play this game of tu meme, I can blame you, you can blame me. But we are all collectively responsible. And the politicians in coastal Karnataka will play politics over this communalism. Therefore, it is advisable for the youth to, educate themselves and grow over this. We must all collectively come together and put a stop to this.
I don't know how you're going to tell youth in Karnataka. Syed, I want to come to you because look at the history of politics in Karnataka. You had those PFI cases. Mr. Rangappa has very rightly pointed out to large-scale Muslim rioting, even against police officers and police station. You've got that entire hijab row that broke out, and it was made up to be like, oh, you know, everything is being taken away from Muslim girls and all Muslim community. You know, it is this kind of politics that radicalizes the Muslim community, right?
Shivani, I completely agree with you. The political parties which communalize incident and look for religion in every kind are the ones who are communalizing it. Shivani ji, I've always believed, na Hindu bura hai, na Musalman bura hai, jo karta burai, wo insan bura hai. I think we should treat it accordingly. I unequivocally, unconditionally condemn the murder of Mr. Suhas Shetty. It's absolutely unfortunate. Whatever happened, he could be a rowdy sheeter or not, but a human being has died, and that is very unfortunate. The fact of the matter, we need to understand that the Bharatiya Janata Party, the VHP, the Bajrang Dal always looks at any crime with a religion.
No, there is a religious angle to this crime. Let's not be childish about it. There is a religious angle to this crime. The problem is that there are both of these sets of groups who've been at each other's throats. I mean, in Mangalore, this is not the first time this is happening. This has been happening for quite a few decades.
Shivani ji, I will answer the official statement of the Mangaluru Police Commissioner, Mr. Anupam Agarwal, who said that it is too early to determine the motive. We don't know yet if this was a revenge killing. The investigation will reveal more details. We have identified a few of the accused from visuals, and action will be taken accordingly. He also said that the peace is everyone's responsibility. So basically, I think the Bharatiya Janata Party, the VHP, Bajrang Dal must not jump to conclusions.
Mr. Rangappa wants to contradict you. Yes, what are you saying, Mr. Rangappa?
Madam, I would like to show you one document. The document is a question asked in the Council of Karnataka Legislative Council. One of our MLC asks for the details of communal riots and communal murders that have happened in Karnataka recently. This is the question asked. Till today, the Home Minister has said we will give you a CD of the things because it is too large in volume. The council has closed about a month back. Till today, details are not given. This is the way that the Karnataka Home Minister is handling his affairs in Karnataka. He should resign immediately and he should go home and sit back and relax himself rather than...
Can I answer that?
Yes, Syed.
Yeah. The fact of the matter, it's very interesting, sir, how you've listed this out. I kindly request you to do a deeper research and see the number of communal incidents which have happened during BJP's regime of PS Yediyurappa and Mr. Basuraj Bommai. It's absolutely shameful.
You have not
give this
given
a religious
the answer.
color.
We have put a contempt against him.
So don't interfere, don't interrupt. When
it
is not fair. This man is interrupting me,
where
sir.
the Home Minister in Karnataka is working. This is how he is working.
Hear the truth.
Okay, I think Syed, I think I got your point. You're saying success. Okay, I'll allow you. Mr. Rangappa, let's not talk over each other. Yes, 30 seconds.
Please, let us not interrupt each other, gentlemen. The fact of the matter, Mr. Rangappa of BJP and Nair of VHP need to go back in time and see the dozens of communal incidents which have taken place in BJP regime. When did this halal incident happen? BJP regime. Hijab happened? BJP regime. Karnataka became a communal laboratory and the people of Karnataka gave a tight slap in 2023 elections and they showed that BJP will lose. 136 Congress MLAs won and BJP lost.
Okay,
Even in
Mr. Nair, Mr. Nair, the role that the likes of VHP and Bajrang Dal are playing in Mangalore, which is very rightly pointed out by Syed, is called the communal laboratory. I in fact covered the elections there. And you know, it is obviously writ large. This is all their politics there has become. The role that these organizations like yourself are playing is not helping the situation. Let's be honest. You are presenting this as protecting Hindus, but Hindus have also committed murders in Mangalore.
Absolutely not. See, this is retaliation. If anything might have happened, every action has a reaction.
No, that's not how law functions. Mr. Nair, that's not how law functions.
Let me complete.
Yes.
Let me complete. The CM, Mr. Siddaramaiah, he is hailed as a hero in Pakistan. Mr. Siddaramaiah is a hero in Pakistan. He is hailed as a hero in Pakistan. It is at the
What
cost
are
of
you
killings
saying,
of
man?
Hindu. After Pulwama,
What is he saying, Shivani?
Okay, Syed, you didn't want yourself to be interrupted. I can understand him. Let's just please reduce the failure for everybody else.
After Pulwama, the kind of statements, he issued, he is hailed as a hero in Pakistan. He, at the cost of the lives of Hindu, he wants to appease Muslim.
You can oppose that, but that doesn't justify murders. That doesn't justify that Bajrang Dal and VHP members are conflicted in murders.
Killed. Madam, our people don't get into unruly incidents. They don't get into this kind of criminal acts. Or rather, our people are attacked unprovoked. Please try to understand. Kindly don't justify killings of jihadi Islam. Here also, if this boy had anything to do with some killing or whatever, there is law and order in this country. Even Kasab, who was seen shooting left, right and center, was given a fair trial.
Okay, no, obviously nobody is defending that. Nobody is defending his murder, but this is not one-way violence. Is all that I am saying, and something needs to be done by the polity in Karnataka to ensure that this doesn't continue as far as Mangalore is concerned. I've run out of time. I do thank all of our guests for joining us, but we do leave you with the Indian Air Force's military might on display. The Indian Air Force conducting landing drills on the Ganga Expressway today. Thanks a lot for watching. Anand Narasimhan is joining you on the other side.
Powered by
Government sources have revealed to CNN News18 that post the Pahalgam terror strike, the US is following the same drill with India and Pakistan as it did after Uri and Pulwama terror strikes, which is backing India's limited counter-strike on terrorism while urging no further escalation, saying India has a right to defend itself, urging for India-Pakistan direct communication and telling Pakistan to act against terrorists on its soil. Let me now go to my colleague Aman Sharma, who has got us this information. Aman, take us through the details of the communication that has happened between the US and Pakistan. Clear statement, clear message is being sent out to Pakistan that you need to work as far as terrorism in Pakistan is concerned.
Well, absolutely, Sharon. What the US is currently doing is following the same, de-escalation playbook that we can say with both India and Pakistan. We have seen the US say the same things even after Uri and Pulwama. But India is very clear that India will do what it needs to do. India will do its job. The Prime Minister, the Home Minister have promised the harshest response against the perpetrators and planners of the Pahalgam terror strikes. The Defense Minister yesterday, for the first time, has named Pakistan for supporting, training and funding terrorists while speaking to his counterpart. So essentially, what the US is trying to tell India is that, look, we back your limited counter-strike on terrorism. You have the right to defend yourself, but don't further, escalate matters. It is urging India-Pakistan direct communication, telling Pakistan also to act against terrorists on its soil. And this is something that, we saw US also doing in 2019 and 2016. If I remember correctly, 2019, we had John Bolton, the then US NSA, telling Mr. Ajit Doval that, America supports India's right to self-defense. We saw the same line from the US Secretary of Defense yesterday to Mr. Rajnath Singh, saying that US does support India's right to defend itself. But you also see the statement of J.D. Vance on Thursday, where he has said that he hopes that India responds to the Pahalgam terror conflict in a way that does not lead to a broader regional conflict. This shows that US backs a limited strike for India. In 2019 also, Mr. Pompeo at that time, had termed India's strike at Balakot as a counter-terrorism post. And Donald Trump, then who was also the US president, had said that, he understands why Delhi was seeking a strong response to the Pulwama strike. But US wants India to not go any further. And this is what, seems like the textbook that let's de-escalate. But India is very, very clear that, it has promised the harshest response. And, the US is saying what it has to say. The India will do what it has to do. That seems a clear strategy inside the Indian government. So we'll have to wait a few days to see how this plays out. But one thing is very clear that, the message that in post Uri and post Pulwama, India did carry out surgical strikes inside Pakistan. And right now also the Prime Minister has promised the harshest response.
All right. Many thanks, Aman, for getting us that exclusive information as far as the entire escalation between India and Pakistan is concerned. I request Aman as well as Sadhan to please stay with us as we are getting a series of reactions.
Namaste, Jai Hind and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I am Anand Narsimhan. As Bharat takes the Pahalgam pledge alongside Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the pledge of avenging every tear of the loved ones of those 26 lives that were brutally killed after identifying them, singling them out as Hindus on the 22nd of April by these terrorists, we dedicate another edition of